Recently, I've gotten back into role-playing games, specifically Dungeons & Dragons. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, so some of my game night friends and I decided that about once a month or every other month, we would do a role-playing session. We've recently just finished a campaign, and we had a fantastic time. I've really kind of gone headfirst into Dungeons & Dragons. I regularly watch Critical Role. I really love it. I enjoyed it. I bought the shirt. So when a game came along that seemed to simulate a part of that experience, I knew I wanted to check it out. This is Set a Watch, designed by Todd Walsh and put up by Rock Manor Games. Set a Watch aims to simulate the in-between, those moments of rest after a long day of trying and failing repeatedly to climb out of a pit. It's never happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to anyone else, but I'm just giving it as an example. The point is, you are a group of adventurers, various classes, from rangers to fighters to knights, and you're going somewhere. The game isn't quite specific, but you're fighting the unhallowed, evil monsters that are trying to kill everyone because reasons. Set a Watch takes place completely in your campsite. One of you will rest, and you may heal yourself when you do that. You can also heal party members. You can check the map and see which locations would be to go to next. You can scout ahead and see what kind of monsters are going to be coming into your campsite. But most importantly, you're going to be maintaining that campfire. You also have some special abilities that you can use in your campsite. Everyone else will defend the campsite, and the reason why that campfire is so important is because the size of that campfire is going to determine how far you can see ahead to defend the campsite from monsters. Not only will you have to fight monsters and vampires and goblins, but you also have to fight the Unhallowed, which are essentially the bosses of this game. They're much more powerful, they have some special abilities, they can summon other monsters. There's also going to be one Unhallowed who is secret at the bottom of the Horde deck. Now, the Horde is going to also contain any of the monsters that were able to break through into your campsite. Those monsters are going to go into your campsite, into the into the Horde deck, and you're going to have to fight them at the end of the game. All of them, along with all the other monsters that spawn at the final location. There's sometimes like 20 monsters, and it's really awful, and you're probably going to die. It's kind of scary, which is good if you like being scared. Normally, Dice and I don't get along. I don't like randomness in games. I don't like, rolling the dice to see whether or not I succeed. I like it to be about strategy. An exception to this are games like Coimbra or Lorenzo Il Magnifico, where your dice roll is determining the types of actions you can take. Another good example would be Castles of Burgundy. What I don't like is when I roll the dice to see whether or not I succeed, and it's just completely random. The exception to this is role-playing games, where dice is used to create tension. I run headfirst into a battle, roll my dice, and find out whether or not I'm going to die a horrible, awful death. That's fun, that's interesting, it's engaging, it helps to advance the story. Unfortunately, there isn't any of that tension in Set a Watch. Instead, you're rolling first, and then using those rolls to choose which attacks you want to make. It's not as much role-playing as it is a math game. And unlike games like Coimbra, you're not making difficult decisions in this game. You're just trying to make the best of whatever is thrown at you, similar to games like Pandemic. But in this game, there is quite a bit of randomness, so be aware you will be starting with random abilities at random locations, throwing random attack values at random monsters that are spawning random villains. And while there is a difficulty setting in this game, because of all that randomness I mentioned, sometimes an easy game will be really hard, and a hard game will be super easy. The theme is relatively thin, and at times doesn't quite make sense, like why is the person who's resting scouting ahead, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, this game is fun if you don't take it seriously. If you just enjoy yourself and have fun for what it is, it can be a really great game. The more extreme risks that you take with this game, the more crazy ideas that you have, the more fun you have playing it. This is a game that I would recommend to fans of Dragoon, a game that's beautiful but completely random silliness, that's more about the journey than it is the destination. And at first, Set a Watch tries to be a beautiful game too. It comes in this beautiful slipcase with the matte finish and the metallic foil of the goblins coming into your camp. You open that up and you got this really cool photo with the teal background and yellow type, and your heroes defending you from the monsters coming in, you know, protecting the campfire. The box is magnetically sealed, which is super cool, and I wish more game companies would do this, so please, more game companies do this. You open it up, and inside you've got these beautiful laser-etched wooden tokens that are really cool. And then, you know, the box itself is even part of the board with that beautiful teal, you know, look to it that's just really neat and interesting and unique. And then you get to the player boards, and they look like an expansion from Ethnos. And by that I mean as bland and as safe as you can possibly get. It doesn't make sense to me. You've got this really cool theme going on the outside of the box, and then it isn't carried over to this part. It feels like two different designers did the game. Or like you took components from two different games and slapped them together. The rule book, too, has that weird parchment to it. I don't get it. The monsters have the weird parchment, and the campfire on the back, it actually took me a while to figure out it was a campfire. So that's something that kind of bothered me about this game, and I wish it would have been... I wish that theme would have been continued throughout the game. It would have just taken it over the top, you know, and just made it one step above the other games that are out there. But because of those two, you know, conflicting designs, it just irks me, and I wish it would have been continued throughout the game. Set a Watch for us is a little too light and linear, and has a little too many random elements for us personally. But that being said, my personal issues with the art aside, we think it's a very solid game, and we think people looking for a lighthearted, fun, fantasy cooperative game are really going to enjoy themselves, so definitely be sure to check this one out. And that's Set a Watch, which is now on Kickstarter. Be sure to check that one out, and be sure to check it out when it comes to retail as well. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe below. And while you're at it, be sure to stop by our website, which is boxgames.com. Kathy and I have a bunch of written reviews on there with some really cool photography that we've done. We hope you enjoy our written reviews as much as you enjoy our video reviews. So we look forward to hearing your comments and suggestions on those. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and have an awesome day. In case you're ever wondering, these lights that I have on me are like 900 degrees. I freaking bake, so I have like the air conditioning vent like blowing right at me, or else I would just die. And these aren't even big lights. They're just, I don't know why, it's just really, really warm. So I do not envy people who work on a movie set that is filled with lights, because it's hot and it makes me melt, and I don't like being warm. It's the breathing. The breathing's the hard part.